Okay, this is just a very short little podcast to address an issue that's come up with some of our teaching here and also might be useful elsewhere. There is a stereotype about Buddhism that seems to be widely perpetuated that Buddhism recommends that we end all desire, that Buddhism is the end of desire. Is that accurate? And this has come up in a module I've been teaching recently, and it comes up quite a lot in conversation. Simple answer, no. What I think Buddhism does is it generates a typology of desire. It seems to say that tanha, which comes up in the Noble Truth, it's the second Noble Truth, tanha is almost universally condemned. There were some slight exceptions that you can read about in the Philosophy of Desire book in Buddhism, but almost universally, and yet there are other forms of desire which seem to be good. Desire for good things to happen to others, the aspiration that lies behind may all beings be well and safe from harm, all these kind of aspirations towards ethical fulfillment that a lot of Buddhists have. So I think the idea that Buddhism condemns all desire is simplistic and, more importantly, or as importantly, inaccurate. Buddhism condemns ways of desiring. It actually goes on, I might talk in another podcast to argue that it's not only what you desire that indicates its moral status, it's how you desire it. So there are not only things that are bad to desire and other things that are good to desire, like peace and happiness for others, but more importantly, or again, as importantly at least, is the idea that there are ways of wanting which are desperate, thirsting, problematic, and there are ways of wanting which are less so and potentially open to more positive ways of constructing your aspirations for a better world. How we go from having the former to the latter is a process which certainly for many will involve the idea of meditation and a refining of the way that we want. And in order to do that, a kind of calmness that for many comes from meditation and also a real honesty about how and why we want what we want. But certainly, as we see, the idea that Buddhism enters some kind of paradox of desire, whereby we desire to end all desire, just doesn't seem to match either the psychological nature of things, but certainly the Buddhist tradition, and certainly not what we find in the Pali canon of early Buddhism, or what we now later come to talk about as Theravada Buddhism.